ignorant slut! It's See For Yourself, the only podcast where after defeating the assassin you sent to kill us, we make them part of our family. I am your host, the unholy combination of a rum and coke, a screwdriver, and a mojito into one nightmarish beverage, and I am joined today by...
Half a bagel. That's it, just half a bagel. What happened to the other half? I fucking couldn't tell you. How come you have to have a whole bagel? Sometimes I feel like half a bagel is just like the perfect amount of bagel.
Well, bagels are a lot of food, to be honest with you. But as you say half a bagel, I can't help but find myself pondering. Aren't we all?
Aren't we all?
Never gets any less funny, does it?
I mean, fucking, I'm trying to think of something where it wouldn't be funny, and I just can't.
That's your challenge now. I have to find something that's completely unrelatable. I have a movie here for you today.
No, what?
Hey, you're in the See For Yourself.
Oh, fuck, that's right. That's the podcast I'm on today.
You're in the See For Yourself patented TM circle with a C in the middle of it, copyrighted electric chair that shocks you anytime you're not watching a movie. So I expect you to want this movie something fierce.
I feel like if I ever had something copyrightable, I would want to put every one of those, like the little TM, the little R in the circle, the little C in the circle. What else? What else do we got?
What is it? The IIRC or whatever?
Yeah, I think it's LLC is what you were trying to...
Yeah, that's it. LLC.
If I recall, what you're thinking of is LLC.
The movie for today's episode, the movie that will save you from the electric shock of the See For Yourself patented electric chair that shocks you only whenever you're not watching a movie. The movie for today is The Happiness of the Katakuris. Have you seen this movie?
No.
I have not either.
Oh, okay.
It came out in either 2001 or 2002. Maybe it was made in 2001 and then finally got released in 2002. Seems unclear. I'm getting both as an answer for this.
Maybe it was, December 2001.
And I'll go ahead and read you the blurb of it so we can get through all these requirements for this horrifying checklist that the monkey on my back is like screeching at me to go through. Like, you have to ask if he's already seen. You have to say. So the blurb is as follows. Guests mysteriously die at a mountain inn run by a family of oddballs who then take drastic measures to avoid bad publicity surrounding the deaths.
Okay.
I know we both haven't seen the movie, and I know when it comes to people dying and the title has happiness in it, for some reason, immediately when I'm like, happiness, people dying, it's got to be Weekend at Bernie's. It's just Weekend at Bernie's, right?
Clearly. I mean, honestly, I was going to do the thing where I give you my best based off the title before we do the blurb, and I had originally thought that the Katakuris were some sort of, like, it's like Gremlins. It's just the name. Is this an American film?
Oh, absolutely not.
Oh, yeah, I didn't think so. So it's Katakuris. It's a Japanese film.
Yeah.
No,
you're right. You're right. I'm sorry. I thought you were just stating that as a matter of fact.
Oh, no, I'm fucking...
You said you had so much confidence. You were like, it's a Japanese film. And I was like, he is correct. I will say nothing.
Oh, yeah, no, I was, no, we're still in prediction mode. So I originally thought the Katakuris were some sort of gremlin thing, which I'm sure if I was aware of Japanese folklore would be... Oh, yes, the Katakuris, obviously. It's like, they got the guy with the eyeball for a butthole and Katakuris, and it's like, yeah, just everyday run-of-the-mill shit.
What I'm hearing from you is that you think that Japanese people are horrifying monsters?
Clearly. So, yeah, I thought the Katakuris would be like a little gremlin thing. Now I'm unsure if the happiness of the Katakuris is it's the family, the good old Katakuris in their bed and breakfast that they run. And as I say that, why can't it be both? Maybe they're named after the little forest gremlin thing.
After hearing the title and the blurb, I feel like it's in reference to like how they have to do something drastic to protect themselves from bad publicity. So they're defending their happiness, right? They're defending their well-being. What is the point of the movie? The point is the happiness of the Katakuris is the point, is what's important, They have to defend themselves from bad publicity. And I think that's like, that idea is very real to today's world. So much of what we do is just like, oh, I've got to avoid bad publicity no matter what. It's the worst thing that can happen to me. I don't want to get canceled. This is basically just a movie about like, oh, what if I get canceled?
Oh God. So I was thinking about how it's probably like my realistic take on the plot is that they've got this bed and breakfast up in the mountains or whatever, and the Katakuris, the family, are named such because going back for generations they've had to feed the Katakuris, the gremlins, in order to, I don't know, something generational wealth. But I think it would be very funny if it was actually your take. It's like, no, please, and then the Katakuri gremlins come out and they're like, I'm sorry, but you didn't feed us innocent bystanders. So, and they take out their little phone and they get on Twitter.
I don't think the internet will be referenced in this at all, but I do think that like it'll be like what's that one movie where it's like I can't remember. It's like people are afraid of like other people finding out that they're uncouth in some way. Like, oh no, like keeping up with the Joneses, you know, like, oh no, I'm scared that like the Robinsons down the street will find out that we eat at a restaurant on Sundays. Like,
Right. They can't possibly know that we have a 50-inch TV because
they'll think that we're lavishly spending our money on useless goods. But this was actually just a gift from like a friend who, you know, recently came into some money and they owed us one, so they gave us this TV that we didn't even want. God, dude, I'm telling you, man, there's no better time period to put like a political or social commentary film in than the 1950s. I'm telling you, there's nothing that cannot be talked about through the lens of like 1950s ridiculousness.
I'm glad you bring up the ridiculousness, because I was trying to think of like some hot button topics today, you know, fucking transgender rights and stuff like that. And I'm immediately like reminded of I don't know what movie it's from, but it's this black and white bit where they're like I don't know, I'm on a speedboat or something like that, and the guy's like, well, we can't pun. It's a man dressed up as a woman, and then the man driving
Some Like
the
It
boat.
Hot.
Is that what it is? Some Like It Hot?
The name of the movie is Some Like It Hot, yes.
And I think it's the ideal of acceptance when they get to the end of the bit and it's like, no, you don't get it. I'm a man. And he's like, well, nobody's perfect.
Yeah, and then the movie ends right there. The shift in public idea between like, you have to find your soulmate, your like perfect person, and if things aren't perfect right now, you just gotta put up with it and it's fine. To like, hey, you gotta find somebody who's nice to you, and if they're imperfect, then that's okay. But like, if they treat you poorly, that's where we draw the line. Like the shift in those two paradigms almost on their heads, you know. And now in society, we're a lot more, you know, towards what it seems like Some Like It Hot was trying to argue for at the end there. Yeah, the movie is Some Like It Hot. Some Like It Hot is considered one of the greatest scripts of all time.
I haven't seen the movie. I've only seen the bit. So tell me why.
I've thought about having the movie for the podcast, especially this season when we're kind of trying to do older movies, and we've done a very poor job of this, so it's whatever. But I wanted to do this with you, but I felt like it was the kind of movie that you might have heard of. I want to do it with somebody who has no clue about somehow. They have no idea what it's about or anything. And I know that I've mentioned it to you once or twice, or I've just being around me kind of ruins like the popular kind of movies, and I have to pull out shit like The Happiness of the Katakuris that like quote unquote nobody has ever heard of, just below the waterline of the iceberg, as we mentioned last episode. But yeah, do you think we've had some other Japanese movies on the podcast in the past, so you've been indoctrinated into this idea? Even one of the movies was your idea. You had this plan to watch Ichi the Killer, and now we're watching another Japanese film. A lot of the Japanese films we've watched have had like some strange element to them, something weird that just feels very not anywhere else but Japan. What's that weird element going to be in this movie? Because the plot sounds so normal. It just sounds like a regular thing, you know? Hey, we don't want people finding out people are dying at our hotel. We got to do something to make sure that we don't get any bad press about this. That's like a 1990s like romp kind of thing. I don't know.
Oh, for sure. Like, what if so I'm thinking that what if the hotel or whatever, fucking, is it a hotel or did I just make that up?
It's an inn, so hotel it's synonymous.
Okay. So I imagine that this is for tourists. Like, so I'm thinking the thing here is gonna be that like in front of all the tourists they do like the kimono and like the wooden sandals and the very very stereotypically traditional Japanese things, but in their off time it's just like they've got fucking t-shirt, like a Coca-Cola t-shirt on or some shit like that.
I do love the shameless product placement too. I don't even know what genre this movie is in. I'm not going to look at it right now.
I just assumed it was horror because that's like your thing. And
yeah. I should assume that it's a buddy cop movie because that's your thing.
Really? Exactly.
I know I've put that on you. You've never really told me like these are the types of movies I prefer. I just have latched on to that time where you were like, God, I really love the police chief character. Like every time I've ever seen a police chief and he's just yelling at the guys and he's like, do your job, God damn it. And the angrier he is, the crazier he is, the wackier he is, the more I love it. And so I put this on you, and I don't know if you're like, I really do love buddy cop films, but every time we do watch a buddy cop movie on the podcast, you do seem to like it. So I don't know.
No, that's perfectly perfectly fine. As a matter of fact, I think I should put it on myself to try and craft my predictions around everything being a buddy cop movie. So like I know that Blurb makes this out to be a horror movie, but let's see here real quick. The people running this inn are actually undercover cops.
Jesus, yes.
And the bad publicity, they actually want no publicity because they're actually well-known cops, and in the modern internet era, for sure somebody would immediately go on to Reddit and be like, damn it, those people who are pretending to be traditional Japanese hotel owners are actually fucking Lieutenant Yakimura, and Samurai Cop was there too.
I like that idea a lot. I like the idea of Lieutenant Yakamura and Captain Joe Marshall.
John, yeah.
Just running this precinct out of an inn where they're undercover, but like it works as a police precinct, and it's kind of
it's a full on. It's a hotel in like appearance, but it still has like the comings and goings of a fucking police department. Like they've got the guys doing paperwork and the guy getting fingerprinted at the front desk, and
yeah. And then as soon as like somebody that they don't recognize is coming up, they're like, oh shit, put it away, and they just like flip all the tables, and they're like, oh, hello, sir.
And it becomes a continental breakfast.
Yeah, they're like, oh, hello, sir. How can we help you today? And he's like, mushi, one room for the evening. And they're just like, oh yes, of course, sir. Will that be a penthouse suite, or would you like the regular package? And they're just like, he's probably a drug smuggler. Fucking, we need surveillance in his room. I like that. And the people who are dying are that, like, this isn't even like a maybe these are like cops who have taken it like too far, and they've started this like side business where instead of like letting these criminals like do their once they prove the guy's doing a crime, they kill him themselves, and they're like, yeah, vigilante justice, go. And like that, the real cops are starting to hone in on him. They're like, oh god, shit.
Or maybe the guys the people dying are actually like crucial to some sort of court case. It's like, oh, you know, we could have got them, but oh god, who's the guy who definitely didn't kill himself?
I think that was Yakimura.
It was Yakimura. Fucking Epstein.
Oh,
so yeah. Everybody's getting Epsteined up in there, and they're like, God damn it, we gotta figure out who's Epsteining these. Oh god, fucking, can Epstein be a verb? Like, I think in this day and age, Epstein can be a verb. So fucking people keep on fucking Epsteining our fucking crucial criminal apprehensions, and so we gotta figure out what's going on. And it's obviously gonna be the Yakuza who fucking do that, right?
I guess now we could even take it to a place where it's like, this isn't these aren't vigilantes killing the people. This is the, what do they call it, witness protection program hideout.
Yeah.
If you're in like a transitionary phase and you're like taken to your actual secret identity where you go after you've snitched on somebody, but they keep dying there, so of course the cops are like, god, our fucking death rates are crazy here. How do they keep getting assassinated in here? And maybe they're not getting assassinated, they're just dying of like an accident or something. They slip in the shower, but it looks like they got like strangled or something, you know?
Right. It's like, oh god, somebody poisoned his coffee, and actually it's like the guy was just an idiot and ate a mushroom that was growing on the back of the place.
Yeah, like he like, oh hey, look, this unlabeled like this unlabeled bottle underneath the sink. Must be gin. I'll pour it into my coffee. I could use a little. And it's just bleach.
It's just bad milk. He goes to the fridge. Expired. It's probably fine.
Yeah. And so they're like, oh god, if the police chief finds out about this, we're screwed.
Oh, and then they weekend at Bernie's all the fucking dead criminals.
It's just Weekend at Bernie's. I like the idea that the Katakuris is not, maybe it is the name of the family, like that's how they throw us off the scent, but at the end of the film it's realized that like the reason they don't want bad publicity coming to the mountainside inn is that the inn is built on top of the mouth of a giant monster. The mountain isn't a mountain, it's a giant monster that they live on the back of, where the face of, and right where the mouth is they built an inn like not knowing, and the monster is like, I will allow you to continue to be here, but you have to feed me people. So that's what they do. They don't want bad publicity coming their way, because then people will find out they're living on this Katakuri monster.
That's just a big mountain.
Yeah, it's just a big mountain with a mouth in it, you know? And maybe he's like the king of the Katakuris, and he's like, I'll tell all my people about this, and they'll come and they'll beat you up mountain style. They all know mountain style kung fu. I also love the idea of mountain style kung fu as if you would need any kind of martial art as a mountain.
Right. It's just the one move. It's
it's just stepping on the other guy. Oh man. Oh god.
I mean, clearly we've dialed it in. Like, if this isn't the movie, they fucked up.
So are we calling it at either buddy cop comedy involving like wacky antics with a dead body, or horror movie where like a mountain demon monster thing is like extorting a family to like murder people?
I mean, fucking yeah, both of these are great movies.
I think it's great, even if we take it like very seriously. Like even if we're like, let's take away all the comedic elements and just replace them with like, it's a hard drama about cops like doing their serious work, but like they're undercover the whole time and they're really trying to save these people who are going into witness protection, or they're really trying to bust these like drug lords who happen to go through this in a lot. You know, that's still a cool movie. Or the opposite, where it's like it's a horror where this monster is extorting this family and they're scared and they don't know what to do and they have to do this really mortifying thing. Oh, it's so dark and gruesome and oh god, how are they going to get out of this? Those are also good movies.
Oh yeah.
We've written pitch ideas that work both ways. Are we getting better at this? I feel like we're getting better at this.
No, we've just always been great at it.
We do a really poor job in some episodes of not even doing the like
the wacky prediction thing.
Yeah, we just kind of are like, so it's about this. That means they'll do this, instead of like,
what could it be?
Let's write an entire 5-minute elevator pitch for this, right, real fast, right in front of us. And that's ideally what we're supposed to do.
Right. I mean, I'm having a blast with it. Like fucking. Problem is, we're giving away all these good ideas for free. I'm telling you, if I fucking end up seeing a buddy cop mountain demon movie on the market in I was gonna say like next week, but like clearly it's gonna take more than a week to make any competent movie
in the year 2050.
Yeah. Basically, if I ever see this, then I'm just gonna be like, I want much.
In case you're wondering how intellectual property works as far as Hollywood is concerned, basically you have a legitimate case for this as long as you have made it clear that you did express this idea. Like this is an idea you came up with, right?
I have to explicitly mention that this idea was mine in order.
No. Like if it is public knowledge that you came up with this idea. So like if they like invite you to like a writer's room or whatever, and you're like, well, here's my pitch, and everyone else in the writer's room, I guess they would all have to lie and say, no, he didn't pitch that idea. It was the other guy that was in the writer's room. Then I guess you're kind of fucked, because everybody who was there for you to pitch the idea is claiming that you didn't. But like, it's pretty hard to dispute, like, yeah, in the year 2023, this guy pitched this idea. And then in the year 2050, when his, the podcast started having a lot of like listeners, somebody made this idea that he pitched, 20 some odd years later, then yeah, you can claim that you can do that. You can take that to court, because intellectual property ownership relies pretty heavily on, I had the idea first, and this is how we know these people can, you can prove it by these different things. And sometimes that's witness testimony, but expressing the idea is what, gives you the rights to it, basically. If you just say out loud in front of, like, if you're in an elevator with a Hollywood executive and you're just like, hey, this would be a really cool idea for a show, and then they go and make that show, if the other people in the elevator are honest about you pitching it to him on that day, and then him taking it and a year later making it into a TV show, you can get your like rights to the money from that.
Well, shit.
The problem is our court system is very imperfect in this way, and obviously he's going to claim, no, I don't even remember. That's why it is the flimsiest argument in the world for somebody to be like, I've never even seen this man before. Especially when other people are like, no, I was literally there. You were in the elevator with him. You'll see this all the time, where like as soon as somebody makes an allegation against somebody else, they're like, I've never even heard of this person before. And then other people are like, no, we can prove that you've met them.
Right. Well, thank God we've got this documented for future generations to pay me for this brilliant idea that
I think it's worth
it's definitely worth a buck. Fucking I'd fucking if I had a camera, or a man whose only quality was that he had a camera, I'd be shooting this in my backyard right now.
Every time I write a script, I'm constantly trying to work it down, like down until it is like makeable in somebody's backyard, basically. Like all you need is a place to film, and you can like kind of make this work, right? Even if that means some of the things are going to be like, you just set up like a desk outside with like a piece of paper on the front of the desk that says police station, but at least you won't have to have like 9 different actors for all the different, it should only be like 2 actors, or maybe even just, 1 actor, and that's like the hardest part, is trying to like whittle it down to like the least amount of assets necessary to make it work. So when you say like, oh, I would just be filming this in my backyard, like every time you add another person, every time you add another location, every time you add like a monster or a prop or anything like that, it gets just a little harder. That's not to say you shouldn't give it a go though, because sometimes like what is it, those like, yeah, we had to have like a monster and we didn't have like anybody who would work practical effects for us, so we had like $15 to kill, so we spent $15 on like a little pajama suit at our local thrift store, and it's just this bunny rabbit pajama suit that the Katakuri monster is represented by in the movie. And sometimes you're like, God, this looks so bad, and like it's not going to be threatening at all. And then other times it's like, while that did not look scary, it was charming and kind of fun. You remember in Samurai Cop, the lion's head mounted on the wall?
Right.
I'm sure somebody was like, I'd really like it if you had like a lion's head to like show how like tough and menacing they are. And they're like, well, we did get a lion's head. We went to the thrift store and found one for like $20, and they just put it up there. And it looks silly, but it's kind of charming and fun, you know?
We rented one from Party City.
We went to a place and got something similar to what you're looking for. Is this gonna work? And the guy was just like, if it's all we got, yeah, then just put it in there. Fuck. And you know, when you're budget filmmaking, that's a lot of what it is. And that's my next question. Is this a budget film?
Is it a budget film? It's hard to say, because in my head, where this is like a mountain tourist resort, I'd imagine that that's more expensive to shoot on. But that being said, just because it's set on a mountain doesn't mean you need more than like a couple of trees in your backyard to be able to be like, oh, we're out in the wilderness.
You could literally just find a mountain resort, ask them permission to take a couple pictures of it and film a little bit around it, and then the inside of the mountain resort is just a dinky little set you have.
Right.
Like you never step foot in the actual mountain resort. You just take pictures of the surrounding area and get some video footage of the surrounding area, and then the actual setting of your film is all inside the resort, which is on a dinky little set that you put together.
I mean, I like it.
I'm just saying that's one they like, even in movies that are like high production value, high budget, you know, they'll still save money by doing exactly that.
Right. I'm gonna say this is a budget movie. I was gonna say I've definitely never heard of it, but we've already established that it's not an American film, so of course I have.
Yep. We're all, you know, godless heathens when it comes to foreign film.
I mean, I definitely.
Well, hey, we're kind of coming up on that time. Do you think you have any last minute, you know, predictions or things you want to say, you know, specific scenes you're hoping to catch or not catch?
I'm hoping that there is some wacky comedy. Like, I don't know how to describe it, but there's like, do you remember this show that was like, it wasn't Ninja Warrior, but it was like, heavily spoofed with like, English voiceovers, and it's like, right you are, Ken.
MXC, Most Extreme Elimination Challenge.
Yes. So I'm hoping that there is some wacky humor a la MXC.
So you're hoping that this is Kung Pao Enter the Fist.
Yes. That's exactly it. But like with but with some horror elements. So I'm actually I'm thinking Kung Pao branded scary movie.
Well, we'll go ahead and, you know, we can do whatever we want. Nobody listens to this stupid fucking podcast. I can do whatever I like. Do you know who directed this movie? I'll go ahead and tell you his name because I don't want you to. The guy's name is Takashi Miike or Takashi Miike. Are you familiar with this director? Do you like him?
Fucking Magic Mike, love him.
Incorrect. You do love this director because the same year, or maybe the year previous to this one, he directed a movie that I know is near and dear to your heart. Good old
Samurai Cop?
No. You want another guess? Do you want another guess?
No. That's all I got.
Oh, okay. He did good old Ichi the Killer.
No shit. All right.
Yeah.
So you know there's gonna be some like wacky fucking outfits for sure.
God, well, so that's the thing, man. The director, while he does get to choose like the people, you know, that he works with generally, you know, he gets to have some say in that. And obviously he gets to have a lot of input on like, I want him to look like this, I want him to dress like that. The costume designer is a huge part of making things look the way they look, you know, like that person really does put in a ton of work. So if we don't have the same costume designer for these two movies, you know, it might not have that same level of drip.
That's fair. Also, I think the other one being based off an anime was probably going to be more outlandish in its costume design anyways. Is this based off of something, or is this just its own standalone thing?
Hey, whoa. Prediction time is over, buddy boy.
Oh, fuck me. All right.
You screwed yourself. You should have heard Japan and immediately said it's based on an anime, it's based on a manga, it's based on I don't know, some sketch somebody made on an old oil painting from ye olden years.
Yeah, you remember that painting that's just like a really weirdly designed wave? It's just based on that.
Yeah, it's just the way. It's just, I think it's called the tsunami. It's just the tsunami, you know. That's it. No, you fucked up, fuck boy. You don't get to fucking just, you know. I say Takashi Miike or Takashi Mike or Magic Mike or whatever his name is, and you're like, manga, anime. I just remembered. He didn't invent it. He didn't invent manga, anime movies. He didn't do that. Piece of shit. You disgust me with your lackluster prediction skills. bagels. How dare you? You are an insult to this podcast, Mr. Half a Bagel.
I mean, it's true. I fucked up.
Never have you on ever again.
No, it's fine. I'll do an apology video and then kill myself, and you'll have to get another guy on for your podcast. You'll never see me again. Not around here.
You'll quit this job to go and work putting up banners for different races.
Specifically automobile races. I'm not advertising. It's like, you should try.
Black people are pretty cool.
Right?
That's all. And then a white person comes up and is like, "Where's my white people are pretty cool banner?" Oh, we're writing better political commentary than we have any right to write. Oh man, damn, I'm
nailing it
on the moon here, man. All right, well, hey, we've already gone too far and said too much, as we do every time we open our mouths. We're just gonna go ahead and call it right here, and we'll go and we'll watch the movie. We'll see it for ourselves, and then when we come back, you'll have seen it for yourself, and God will have seen it for himself. Even if he didn't want to watch it, he'll be watching it, and we'll talk about it. Me, you, and a half-eaten bagel. Yeah. It is okay to stop as long as you keep on going, and that's what we did.
What?
We're back from the movie.
Oh, well, yeah, all right. Well, when you put it that way.
Yeah, well, I just thought, because from the song in the movie, there was this movie was a lot more musical than I thought it would be.
It's, like, marketed as a musical.
No, I get that, but, like, I read, like, horror musical, in my mind, I'm like, horror musical? Mostly horror. Like, horror is just a strong genre choice.
I felt quite the opposite, actually. I was like, horror musical, and then, like, there were parts of it that I suppose were horror, but in the end I kind of just felt that this movie transcended genres. Like, it's kind of its own fucking thing.
It is hard to pin down exactly what this movie is doing, because I don't know, I guess when we see those, like, what's the word for it, those like practical effects that are claymation sort of style, you know what I mean, it just immediately, it's the kind of thing when you see it, you're just immediately like, what the fuck is this? Where does this fit in the chronology of filmmaking?
I mean, it's not even the stop motion, which I do want to touch back on at some point.
Right. Because it doesn't, like, wait for that. You know what I mean? It's not like something that, like, they pop it out to, like, surprise you. They give it to you right away.
They start with a whole fucking opening sequence and then, like, cut back to it multiple times in multiple different, like, styles. It's not the stop motion that bugs me. And I don't even, like, really think bugs me is, like, the correct thing here. But, the reason I think this isn't, like, this doesn't fit neatly into a genre because, like, a lot of the time I just didn't know how to describe what was going on, like, in a way that was, you know, like, there was definitely horror aspects, there was definitely comedy aspects, and they sang a lot, so I guess them's the three genres, but it was just wild how they meshed them.
And there was, like, an attempt at a romance story, even though
right,
there wasn't really romance to it. It was more like a con job. Yeah, that is one thing, like, I feel really conflicted about the mother character. She is, like, supposed to be very interested in romance and love and everything, and I'm like, you know, that's kind of played out for, like, a female lead, but, you know, I don't hate the way that it's done here because it's mostly just sort of to add a little bit more spice in a different way for a character to show up at the inn and die, you know?
right. If anything, it kind of, the troubling part about that mother character is just, like, I wouldn't be as opposed to her behavior if she didn't have a kid, you know what I mean? Like, that's, it's, and I mean, that's fine if that's how the character is like, meant to be or whatever. It's just, I don't think any of that, it makes her, like, tragically a mother, I guess, to be so, like, desperate for male company.
Well, I mean, I don't know. Being a single mom is a hard job, and you know, she's obviously had to rely on her parents and her grandparents to, you know, support herself and to, you know, find a way in life, and, you know, things are tough for her. So it's not as if, like, you know, things are ideal and she's just like, yeah, everything's going perfectly for me and I'm desperate for love. It's like things are tough.
Oh, I mean, no, I get that. It's just I don't think it's particularly good for the kid, you know.
I don't know how I feel about that exactly. I'm 50-50 on that, but, like,
fair enough.
I guess the movie is trying to sort of age down the mother character and the uncle character.
I thought the uncle character looked, like, way young, you know?
Yeah, like, the mom character seems weirdly older than him, but it might be just because he doesn't have a kid, you know what I mean?
I mean, it might be, but his just, like, the way he looked, and I don't know how, like, they didn't attach an age to these people, so it's hard to say. We really just know where they sit in the family. So I mean, uncle really just means like his position in the family, but boy, he looked like fucking freshly 17.
I think he's supposed to be like, I don't know, maybe like early to mid 20s, because he does, a large part of his character is kind of like being uncertain and not exactly trustworthy, and like he's still got learning and growing to do. And I think that's usually associated with somebody in the age bracket of like, 15 to 25, like somewhere in there. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And especially in Japan, where like you're kind of seen as like older when you're young and younger when you're old. You know what I mean?
Right.
So like 25 is like, oh, you're still young, you've got plenty of time. And like 15 is like, you're an adult now, you're a grown ass man. So like, so I think that's like where he's supposed to be, in that like weird ambiguous age. Like, oh, he's 15, he's still in school, but he had a job and things went poorly. Or he's 25, he's a grown man, and like, he's still got some learning to do, but he had a job and things went poorly.
I'm not sure when a good time to bring this up is, and I also don't know whose job it is necessarily, but boy, whoever's making these choices for the fucking title card, like, if this is Magic Mike's doing, like, boy, does he have it fucking down.
That is one of the things that the director has very direct control over.
Is it? All right.
Yeah, so I think that is just his like stylistic flair of like, yeah, I'm gonna put the title card in a cool place.
Oh man, I thought it was really neat. Like, I like this one. It's definitely no fucking title coming out of fucking plant jizz from fucking
Ichi.
Yeah, from the Ichi movie. But boy, like, it's cool.
I liked it too. I didn't find it nearly as like memorable as the Ichi one though.
It wasn't as memorable, but it was similar enough that like if you hadn't told me that this was Ichi the Killer, I'd have been like, damn, that's like, because it's kind of the same reveal. So it's like he's definitely got a style that he's aiming for.
Yeah, I think it is like good for this movie, because it is kind of like, oh, they're having troubles at their home and they're trying to figure it out, and then it shows the like, what is it, like the storage bin or whatever, or the storage locker or whatever it's called, and they have the happiness of the Katakuris like painted onto the side, and then it sort of disappears, and it's like, it's sort of sad and somber and then also like scary. And I think that does a lot to push the spooky. Was there do you remember the first time you were like, oh, this is very clearly a comic?
When the father is on the swings and he shoots like off screen, and clearly he's meant to like have fallen into a puddle or a lake or a river or something like that, and it's just like a depth charge went off and fucking that's when I was like, oh, we're fucking going hard in it.
I think that is the correct answer, but for me, I'm willing to let stuff like that go at the beginning of a horror film, because I'm a big Sam Raimi fan and I love the Evil Dead. So like a lot of horror films is sort of setting up the like quality time and the fun between all the characters. So you're like, oh, they're having fun, they're having quality time, they're enjoying each other. And in a Sam Raimi movie, you could expect like a wacky gag like that,
Right.
And then midway through the movie, people are getting chopped up into a million pieces. The moment I realized this was a comedy for me, where it was like, it went too far, was when they walked in on the guy who had committed suicide and they all just start taking poses immediately, and then the music starts blaring.
Oh yeah.
God damn, like that is, I don't know how much this movie was inspired by JoJo's, but it feels like a lot. They're taking those like supermodel poses on the ground and they're doing like, oh, by the way, the uncle had all the best dance.
Yes, I was just about to bring that up as soon as you were done talking there. It was like there was definitely a disconnect in like how much energy they were all willing to put into dancing.
Yeah.
Because the dad and the grandfather were always like kind of like out of sync and like off step, and like that's fine and all, but the uncle, like he put it all down, like just everything they taught him in dance school. He was like, this is my only chance. Like this is where I'm gonna get my money.
I have got to fucking get there. I don't know why I look at like Japanese acting as being like a little bit more self-serious and a little bit more like, even when they're doing stuff that's wacky and over the top, they're like, yeah, I'm gonna deliver this like it's like it is a legitimate line that's very serious, something you could hear in Hamlet,
Right.
And in this movie, I was blown away by their willingness to like, still some semi-seriously, but like, faithful to the role more, I would say, like they're faithful to their character, they're faithful faithful to their role, but they're willing to get wacky with it and get like overly expressive and get like, like really have fun, And I guess I haven't seen that a lot in Japanese film or as much as I would like to,
Right.
God, what was his name? Roger? Do you remember Roger? The captain?
Oh, yes, Richard.
Oh, it's Richard. Is it Richard? My bad.
Richard Sagawa or something like that. And like, boy, fucking every time he pressed that story further, I was like, God, fuck me, dude. I'm the part that like I immediately had to like pause the movie and be like, what the fuck, is when he's like, I'm in the US Navy, more specifically the British Navy. And I'm like, no, that's not more specific. You've actually clouded the whole fucking thing, but do go on. Oh, and my sister, or my aunt is Queen Elizabeth herself. Oh, if only I'd have been there for Diana.
Yeah, I love how he like tried to, oh, Diana, what a tragedy. I was deployed at the time, out at sea, saving the country. I wish I was home saving Diana. God damn. There's so many good bits. I love how the great grandfather has that like log that he's constantly using as his main weapon.
I mean, he's got it. Like fucking, so he takes out 2 birds over the course of the fucking movie, which is dope enough.
The second of which was entirely unnecessary.
Oh yeah, no, just we had to, I don't know. I mean, I guess you pay for a CGI bird, you want to get your use out of it.
Yeah, fucking double down. Let's go.
But fucking, yeah, as soon as he finds out that Richard's a piece of shit, and then he like slowly lifts the log into the frame, and I'm like, you fucking bonk him, motherfucker.
But yeah, man, Richard had that riz though, man. He would throw those legs up. That's what I've learned from this movie. If I learned nothing else from this movie, it's that throwing your legs up on a balcony or a set of stairs or something like that is the way to a woman's heart every time.
Oh yeah.
You fucking slap those bad boys up there and they're gonna be like, whoa, I didn't know. I know I was in love right now.
I also love the dance scene that follows that shit, like with the fucking 50 people that all come to be a part of it. I was watching it with Ashley and she's like, clearly you don't love me if you can't like float into the sky about it.
Oh god. I love how the first dance scene takes place in like this beautiful pastel colored kind of like city square or town center or something like that.
Right.
The second one takes place at a literal dumpster. Like at a literal fucking
the trash flying around and stuff. By the way, got our Coca-Cola product placement. It just wasn't where I was expecting it.
I was genuinely shocked to see Coca-Cola. Like, god damn.
But yeah, with the trash flying around everywhere, and I don't know if there was like a mistranslation, but I think just a little bit before that, when Richard shows up to the house and she's like pressing him for something, and he just stops, and after a dramatic pause, he's like, "I want to eat," and I'm like, "What the fuck?"
I mean, I'm not certain that's even a mistranslation. There are a lot of mistranslations here, like, and we're only saying we think these are mistranslations. I'm sure in the year 2001 or 2002, people translating Japanese to English know what the fuck they're doing. But we've had this problem before, so I'm sure we're having it now. There's like they call the place the White Lovers.
Yeah, I was not thrilled with that name and was hoping that it was a translation error.
I was like, is it supposed to be White Lotus maybe, or like white, or like light romance? Maybe the white is meant to be like it's light, it's like not heavy or something.
Or yeah, the innocent lovers, perhaps. Like white, like a wedding dress or something. Or yeah, I bet it's one of those words that like is contextual.
Yeah, and then there was the part where like the uncle gets like stabbed and he like turns to his sister and he's like, "Sister, you're a total babe," and I'm like, ugh, is that supposed to be like, "Sister, you're a real catch"? Because the next thing he says is like, "Keep trying, you're a real babe, keep trying." I'm like, "You're a real catch, keep trying to like find a romantic option," like it's one of those where like you're a real catch doesn't like translate perfectly from English to Japanese. Maybe, I don't know. You're a real babe, sis. Like, ugh. There were like a million of these, but I could see "I want to eat you" and the like innuendo there being like not perfect, but like it's as close as we can get.
Oh sure.
And like, "I want to lick you all over," and like the closest thing they could get was "I want to eat you," and like somebody was like, "No, that does kind of work in English," and they're like, "All right, good enough." Anyways, "White Lovers" in, and like, let's keep working on that. Or maybe the last one they were willing to work on was "I want to devour you," and they're like, can you just do eat you? And they're like, yeah, no. We got a couple more here, like white lovers, and they're like, nah, just leave the rest of them. We don't care. We don't have the money. Oh man, how much are they paying these translators? Who knows?
No shit. Fucking all right, so let's dive into this their use of stop motion here, because there's two very specific situations that I want to point out. One of them's not super important, but I did like how at the very end of the movie, which by the way, where they fucking transported into Jurassic Park world with fucking elephants and giraffes and shit like that was wild.
Yeah, so the part that frustrates me about that, let's just start right here really quick and we'll come back to the stop motion stuff. I genuinely thought that the like flood or the volcano like going off or whatever happened there killed them all. And they woke up in paradise, meaning, you know, some kind of an afterlife, whatever they choose to believe in as an afterlife.
Right.
And I was like, okay, so that's where this movie's gonna end. They're in the afterlife, and they don't say it's the afterlife, but it's heavily implied because like.
But then they're like, and then a year later, Grandpa fucking dies.
Grandpa dies and then ascends to heaven or ascends to the afterlife in a big beam of light.
The Jedi Master that he is, he then becomes like fucking ethereal Grandpa.
And I do like that. So there's like two endings here that I like that they just slapped together and didn't do it in any like graceful kind of way. They're just like, yeah, let's like have him go to an afterlife and not say that. Oh, okay. And then we'll have the grandpa go to, or the great grandfather go to super afterlife. I'm like, wait, no, we can't do that. That doesn't make a whole lot of sense. And just leave it in. We don't care. I like how the ending had him go to the afterlife and everyone said, yay, like, go, yeah, because that is a very Eastern philosophy surrounding death. The idea that like death should be celebrated because the person is moving on to whatever's next and they get to enjoy that and we have to keep trudging through our everyday lives, but they get to go on to the next adventure, whatever that might be. Even if it's nothing, it's better than this shit. And I liked that end. I like that aspect of the end.
Right.
We're in the Sound of Music field with all these different animals and a rainbow and all that stuff. Kind of weird. Doesn't make a whole lot of sense, especially right next to that other ending.
But so there's this point right at the end there, and they've done this throughout the movie where they've like intermingled the live action and the stop motion, like during the cliffhanger scene. But right as the landslide's happening, most of the family turns into clay, and up until now I've kind of just taken it as like the artistic choice they're going for. I got nothing wrong with it. But Grandpa notices at the fucking end. Did you catch that?
Yes, it's so weird how they are willing to have like every character turn like into claymation except Great Grandpa. Is it
like,
because
he's cognizant of it, so it's not even like an artistic choice. It's like something that has physically happened to the rest of his family.
Yeah, I don't know if it's because like they're afraid of death right now, but like he's not, or he's afraid of death, but they're not. Like I don't know what it is.
I mean, I'm just chalking it up to like another bit because they did have a bunch of very strange bits throughout the movie, so I don't mind chalking it up to that. Like just a quick callback to another bit that I thought was funny, but they fucked up. They didn't do it a third time where the dad like wakes up, the dad sees the zombie and then wakes up. He's like, oh, it's just a nightmare, and then he does it again, but he didn't do it a third time, and he really needed to do it a third time.
Well, does the song count as a third time?
I mean, but that's much later in the movie. Like the three's got to be back to back.
Sure. Well, I don't know. Sometimes it doesn't work out exactly that way. And I guess the other argument against this is that it's the whole family seeing the zombies and not just the dad.
I mean, that's true.
How did you feel about the mom dad song, or I guess they're the grandma grandpa song? Because remember, the grandpa is like the great grandpa actual.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, this is 4 tiers of family.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you have the youngest little girl, and then you have the uncle and her mother, who are like the ambiguously aged. They could be 30, they could be 20, who knows?
What I've been referring to as the mom and the dad are actually the grandfather and grandmother of the young girl.
Yes, even though they look incredibly young to be grandparents.
They do.
They're newer grandparents. That young girl is probably like 5 years old at most.
Oh, sure. I had a lot of fun with it. I definitely am unsure like if that's them singing, but they did a good job. Just like the cutaway to it being its whole like self-encapsulated thing was wild.
Did you notice anything about like the part where they're like most glamorized and they're dancing in front of the disco ball and everything?
What do you mean?
The grandfather is wearing almost as much makeup as the grandmother.
I missed it.
And you don't see that in like Western versions of this. I will say they went a little heavy on the eyeliner and mascara for him, but other than that, it looks really tasteful and like kind of difficult to notice.
That's funny.
If you look at eyes, you can tell like, oh my god, that man's lashes are luscious. I just thought that was kind of cool and like interesting. Like, hey, we're gonna make him look glamorous too, because she's looking glamorous. He's gonna look glamorous.
Oh, for sure.
I thought that was kind kind of neat. In general, I think that's my favorite song of the movie too. I just think it's a lot of fun. I think it's like a nice, loving kind of homage to their relationship. I don't know. And also, it's like the only song that has like the karaoke aspect to it, which is like very interesting.
Yeah, as soon as they were like, sing along with us, I'm like, I don't know the words. And then the fucking karaoke shit shows up on the bottom of the screen. I'm like, oh, I would sing along if I knew how to read this.
God damn, they have everything in this movie. That's another genre they have to slap in here. It's not just a musical, it's a karaoke musical.
That's great.
Hard not to love, man.
Oh, for sure.
I kind of wish that the youngest daughter had more to do, because they sort of tee it up at the beginning. She's sort of giving the narration. She's saying, or it's implied that she's giving the narration. She's saying like, "Hey, these are my parent, or this is my mom. This is my uncle. That's my grandfather. That's my grandmother. That's my great grandfather, and this is what they're all like." And I don't love that kind of like, let me explain who these characters are really quick for you.
I really wasn't happy about the narration in general, like especially since it kind of falls flat at the end. Like it's almost like this is the ending to a slice of life anime where they're like, and sometimes that's just life. And it's like the movie could have done without all of the narration, really.
Yeah, I don't find it terribly necessary, especially since they kind of like drop it off of the face of the earth for a lot of the movie.
Oh yeah, like they have like 3 big narrations, and I say big just because it's like longer than fucking 10 seconds. But yeah, like 3 times in the movie they decide to do the narration, and I don't know, it didn't add anything to me. If anything, like the second time I'm like, oh, is the whole movie like through the lens of the little girl? Like, is that why they're doing the stop motion shit? Like, I don't know, it was a miss for me right there.
Yeah, and other than narrating, the little girl really doesn't have anything to do other than like, she has a couple of cute jokes, like they're like, oh, save some tofu for grandpa, he loves tofu, and she takes some of the food she had taken out of the pot like and tries to put it back in, and they're like, oh no, not yours. And I'm like, that's cute. They found something interesting for her to do in this scene.
I did think it was funny that yeah, one of her lines was like when Richard is over there like, oh, I'm so envious of your husband, and the little girl's like, daddy left her for a high schooler. I'm like, oh goddamn.
Yeah, that is the kind of like volunteering of information that like a 5-year-old would do.
Right.
Oh, that's so embarrassing, don't say that. But also like, that is exactly what you should say, because like secret's sort of helping me out here.
Right.
Helping me score this jackpot of a man. When he's like expressing how excited he is about like her being single, I love how it like keeps sort of, I guess in that weird staccato kind of way, they just sort of keep, without making a cut. Like there's no flash to black and then flash back to the real image. It's all the real image showing, but it just like flashes him around in different positions, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like they just have these like small segments of him like in different places, like being like excited and showing different emotions and things, as if to imply that he has like a lot of energy and is moving very rapidly. And I think that that's like a cool effect. I thought that was like fun and exciting.
Right. How did you feel about that whole opening sequence, which I thought was gonna have like much further ramifications? You know what I mean? Like I thought this was gonna be where we discover the Gremlins, or where fucking, and it just turned into like whoever was doing the stop motion was just like fucking around and was like getting their money's worth out of that fucking job there.
It does feel like a strange introduction to the movie. It does imply that there's going to be a cyclical nature to the story, because the crow eats the little gremlin creature, and then it, the gremlin creature is reborn in a new egg, and then another crow comes and eats it, and it's like, oh, okay, this is a story that like repeats itself, or like it ends where the beginning starts. And
right, or something about consumption.
yeah, and it feels like instead the only really necessary part of that claymation, portion of the film is the beginning part where he sees a heart, the gremlin sees a heart inside that lady's uvula and rips it out and tries to run away with it, but then gets eaten. That should have been pretty much all we needed, because it kind of tells the story of, hey, when you're searching for love and you're willing to take it wherever you see it, it will come back to bite. And that's basically the mother's story for the film. And she's sort of the catalyst for one part of the plot progression. I don't know. It's weird that happens, and then like the very next thing is a random guy kills a lady on another side of the mountain and then sneaks into their place to hide. It feels like all these other things sort of happened completely unrelated to that thing, unless I missed something. But it didn't matter what else, the other stuff that they did. They could have done anything during that time. They could have sat around and just been like, you know what, let's just stay inside and ignore all the people who come to our door, and the story would have gone exactly exactly the same way.
I think it would have been funny if, because they had that family that showed up and didn't die, and as soon as that, like, the kid's coughing, I wanted them to be like, actually, you cannot stay here because your kid's gonna fucking die.
I would have liked that joke a little bit better, especially since basically the joke that the family is used for after that is kind of like they catch them digging graves for the family, and the family's like, we didn't die, haha. And I guess that's like what they're doing here is they're subverting our expectations. And basically what you're saying is, I noticed that they subverted our expectations and the family didn't die, but I would have subverted our expectations in a different way. And it's like, okay, but it effectively does the same thing either way. It's just a different joke, you know? So it's not, you know, they did what you're asking for, they just did it in a different way. And I don't think it was like bad, but I remember watching it and thinking, as soon as that kid is like, hey, I would have been like, nope, we've had too many people die here. We're all booked up. Get out of here, kid.
Right. There was while I'm thinking about it too, because they had some wacky guests and, like, I guess some not guests. God, there's that lady in the first group of ladies that just, like, had her tits on full display underneath that shirt, and I don't get that.
Yeah, the like religious people who came through.
Yeah, the religious nuts that freaked out about the solar eclipse or something like that.
Yeah, sort of the event that starts it all, but again, it doesn't really have an effect on the family. These types of things sort of need to have like some kind of an effect that's like clear and understood throughout. It's a thing that happens, and if you forgot about it, it doesn't really change anything. It's not like, well, why are these horrific things happening? The answer you could very easily come to is, oh, the house has always been cursed.
Right. Yeah. It's really interesting how, like, I don't know, when I was like, it was barely a horror for me. It was really like it seemed like a side story, you know? Like every now and then they just gotta, it's like, oh God, somebody else died. Now we gotta go bury him. And then it's like back to the love story and back to, you know, my, the uncle character got into some trouble and now the family's gotta stick together and or the love story between the grandma and oh, somebody else died. Gotta do that again.
I love how the grandma and grandpa are talking about how like the uncle character isn't that bad and he's actually a pretty good person and he takes after his father and he's got these good qualities to him, at the same time as him like trying to use a ladder to like sneak a peek at the man and woman who checked into the hotel to like have some time away from the paparazzi or whatever the hell.
Right.
I thought that was like a funny juxtaposition kind of joke, but I'm always a big fan of those, so it was written for me.
Mm-hmm.
I really did like the design of the zombies. I thought that they looked similar enough to their human counterparts, but different enough to be horrifying. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. It was definitely, they definitely pushed the makeup enough to make them monstrous without, you know, because they could have just as easily done like the sunken cheeks makeup and that's it. But like they definitely all look fucked up. I feel like the overweight guy looked the most fucked up, like, unfortunately. Like they really pushed into the whole like, no, he's been dead and he's gonna, you know, bloat now. And it's like, cool, but you didn't do that with anybody else.
Yeah, and that is like a known phenomenon for dead people. Like you die and your body like expands with like water and whatnot.
Right.
I really liked all the emotion on display by the grandfather at the end when he's worried that his wife is going to die.
Yeah, that was a really good job that he did there.
Yeah, I always like those big expressive like, no, come on, please, just anything, let her go. I'll take her place and everything. They milked that scene for all it was worth, and it shows, and it did well.
I want to talk about the TV bits for a bit because I think this might also be an unfortunate like mistranslation and all that stuff. Because I'm fairly certain the person singing there was not just saying "dem bones" repeatedly, although that would be pretty funny. And also, like, what's with the fucking news reporter where like his brain's getting eaten by that bug, like, which was also horrific. I thought that was gonna be like, it happened early enough where I was like, oh, this is the lead up, like this is where the horror starts happening. But it kind of felt like unrelated, you know?
It was just in there. Yeah, I don't know. I think that it might have been to imply that all inns are experiencing an issue with this, because like we see it there, and then we see at the end of the movie that another inn had a murder at it, and the guy escaped. So it could have just been like them implying that like all inns are having a problem with the supernatural affecting them. My favorite part about the TV bits was that I'm fairly certain they used the same actor for the news reporting bit as they did for the singing actress. Like it was just that same guy in a wig with some lipstick on.
Oh yeah, no, I think that's what it was.
And I think that is a very creative way to save some money on like hiring a different person to do that. Like, yep, let's save some money and not hire another actor, and we'll just have this guy put a wig on and throw some lipstick on, and there we go. I think that's fun and cool. The ethical question shows up sort of at the end there, right? Where like the question question of, hey, the cops are here. We think that we're busted. Who do we turn in as the sole culprit for this? Because we're not going to let the whole family go away. Who should go away? Who should take the rap? And they kind of go back and forth on like, you know, the grandfather is like, it was my idea to bury the people. This is all my fault. I should go. The great grandfather is like, I'm the oldest. I don't have that much longer to live. I should go away for this. And that way you guys can enjoy the rest of your lives. And I'll go to jail and die and it'll be fine. And then of course, we have the uncle, the youngest man present. And it's only the men who like offer themselves up, by the way. And he's like, yeah, I should go away because I've already had it run in with the law. And this is nothing new to me. I can go to jail for this. And it's, you know, I'm fine with it. I wish that they had spent more time on this ethical question and it wasn't a song, but I do appreciate that it was a song. And I also appreciate that the grandfather got to like use his super speed in the song. Like he has like super speed for like a second. He like runs over really quick and leaves like an after image of himself. And it's like, whoa, chill. We didn't know you were Superman.
I mean, as for the ethical like dilemma of it definitely makes the most sense if we agree that only one person is going to take the fall for it. I think it makes the most sense for the great grandfather to do it. I think he even brings up is like, I've given my life away once already in the war or some shit like that. It's like, that's dope.
I do appreciate the uncle claiming that that's too fantastical and they won't believe that such an old man was able to carry multiple bodies out of this place without anyone noticing and bury them without anyone noticing. Like that's a little far-fetched, but a younger man like the grandfather or a much younger man like the uncle, they might believe that. I thought it was an interesting amount of like good argumentation in like a couple minute long song, you know?
Right. I just had something.
Yeah.
Nope, it's gone. Yeah, I don't know. I had it in my head and then it's gone.
You son of a bitch. This whole podcast riding on your back, and yet you throw us away. Well, you know, hey man, we're kind of coming to a close on this one. Was there any last minute things you had to say or anything that you wanted to just go over really quick and mention? I know that you're the biggest Takashi Miike fan. I'm still not sure how to say that name. I'm probably gonna Google it later, and it's gonna be like Takashi Miike, and I'll be like, what? You just ignore the eyes.
Magic Mike, Magic Miike.
Magic okay. The eyes turn into M's. We were such fools. I will say there are still a lot of those like loving choices made in this movie, like in Ichi the Killer, where it's like, hey, we're just gonna do this for fun, and like if it looks kind of silly, it looks kind of silly, but if it doesn't, it'll be super sick, you know?
Right.
I also think they did a really good job of creating a sense of family, you know? I really felt like this was a family who were all like interesting characters in their own right, and they were just trying to get by, and I think that's hard to sell, but they did it. Well, we will go ahead and wrap this one up in a nice and tidy bow and call it a day here for the See for Yourself podcast and the happiness of the Katakuris. I might have to do some clever editing for this part, but it does seem like the happiness that they're like talking about, the happiness of the Katakuris, because the only time that the word happiness is used is during the portion that the great grandfather is singing.
Yeah, actually, that's there was a point where I don't know, I feel like they only mentioned it once when talking about the mother character. Like her name was like I forget her first name, but they do bring up her entire name, and it ends up being Katakuri. And I don't know if that's just something I was supposed to take for. I did take it like as what I was supposed to understand going into the movie, but the fact that they bring it up at some point makes me wonder if I was supposed to know that. But yeah, like I would have been happier with the narration if they tied it back into the happiness thing.
So they only say happiness one time in the movie, and it's when the great grandfather is singing, and he specifically says, I know what happiness is. People should laugh at your funeral. People should be smiling at your funeral. And ultimately, that is what he gets. When he dies at the end of the movie, people are like, yeah, yay. They're like jumping and cheering, and they seem happy. So the happiness of the Katakuris does seem to be happiness at a funeral, and enthusiasm at a funeral, or in response to a death. And I guess because this movie has so much to do with death, and it's a comedy, and it's like every time a character dies, like it's usually played off for like fun and gags and silliness. So I think that the movie is trying to argue for enthusiasm and happiness in the face of death. But yeah, we'll just go ahead and call it a day there.
Oh, what one last thing actually. That's what I was thinking of. I'm not sure if this is something, because I remember in House, remember how they like made entirely too big a deal about how fat fucking Mac was when she like kind of wasn't. So in this one, like we have like an actual heavyset heavyset guy, and they make a whole deal about like, oh, he's never gonna fit out the hallway. I'm like, motherfucker, he walked up the stairs and down the hallway himself. Like, what do you mean he won't fit out the hallway?
I think they just meant it would be a colossal effort to carry him out.
Oh, okay. I guess that does make more sense.
That's why they ended up using a rope and pulley system.
I just think that perhaps in these Japanese films they are a touch more unkind to overweight people than like is necessary sometimes.
Oh, I think that's also true. The sumo wrestler character, or what I'm assuming is a sumo wrestler character, because they call him like, oh, he's a celebrity. He was on the sports channel.
Oh, did they? I didn't want to. I must have missed that part because I didn't want to like say the wrong thing there. Be like, oh, he's clearly supposed to be a sumo wrestler. I mean, look, he's fat and look at how he's dressed. And I'm like, that doesn't sound right. Maybe he's just a fat guy.
Yeah, no, I think that the movie was trying to imply that without saying it. But he is one of the only people who actually kills someone in the movie.
Yeah.
Like even when they like throw that rock on top of Richard's head, like that doesn't kill him. He like scrambles back into the house and everything and calls 119, which is 911 in Japan, in case you don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, if you paid attention, he was dialing 119, and that's 911 in Japan. But he didn't die from getting hit in the head with the rock or even the fall. It was, I mean, technically those things did kill him, but it was from him like wandering back to their house and then trying to make a call from there that caused him to die. If he had reached somebody for help sooner than that, he would have been fine. So technically, I guess the mother does kill him, but it's a much more delayed death. And the sumo wrestler actually kills the lady by laying on top of her and her asphyxiating after he like went into cardiac arrest from an orgasm ? And that's what the movie seems to be implying anyway. But yeah, I agree. I do think that in Japanese culture, like being more rotund is definitely demonized, or at least if we only use our film knowledge, that definitely seems to be what's implied here. Yeah. I mean, in America, it's true too. I guess we're just not as sensitive to it, maybe. I'm not sure. There's definitely a lot of movies that are like goddamn. Did you ever watch The Duff?
I have not.
It's The Duff is the designated ugly fat friend.
Ooh.
The actress they picked to play the Duff in the movie is a gorgeous young lady. Like, she's a beautiful young lady. She is, you know how like a doctor will tell you like, hey young girl, you're 5'10", you should be at most 130 pounds. I'm just making up numbers here. I don't know.
Right.
130 pounds is like, that feels like it's an impossible number for me to reach. I'm normally around 145. You know, like your doctor will tell you that your like healthiest weight is about 15 pounds what your like typical weight is. You know what I mean?
Right.
So she seems like that exact description where like she's a perfectly healthy, everything is like a-okay with her body and everything, but her doctor still tells her like you could spare to lose 10 pounds. And you know, I think we've all been there where we go to the doctor and he's like, you could spare to lose another 10 pounds, and you're like, I don't know, I feel like I'm at the healthiest I've been in a long time. Come on. I don't know, I'm kind of going on a tirade here, but like, yeah, I like go ahead and give it a Google, like look at the leading actress for Duff or The Duff, and you'll see like, yep, we definitely demonize.
But anyways, you've tried to end this episode 3 times now, so
yeah, I don't mean to, you know, keep us on the hook here, but somebody,
I just keep on coming up with shit to talk about.
We'll call it a day here, and we'll move on to the next one, and everything will be good and happy, and we'll stop occasionally, but we'll never inhibit progress. We'll always be progressing towards something. Some for yourself.
Oh, I was gonna think for myself.
Yeah, weren't we all? Aren't we all?
Aren't we?
Oh well, yeah, fucking hell.
I'm gonna go finish my other half of this bagel.